Hi everyone, welcome back to Life Notes with Priyanka. I don't know if this episode will be perfectly structured, but I just want to speak uh, from my heart because this is something I have been feeling for a long time, but I think I'm only now starting to understand it. It's about labels, the small things people say about you, the way they describe you, the way they react to you, and how slowly those things don't just stay outside, they come inside and they stay there. I think for a long time I didn't even realize this was happening because no one sits you down and says from today you will start doubting yourself. It doesn't work that way. It's much quieter, much slower. It happens in a small, almost invisible moments. Maybe someone laughs when you say something, or maybe someone corrects you in a certain tone. Maybe someone compares you with someone else who seems more confident, more clear, more quick. And in those moments, you just move on. You don't react. You don't think really too much about it, but something stays. And then life gives you a situations where you are already little unsure. You're trying to explain something and you can't find the right words. You are in a conversation and your mind goes blank and you are listening but not fully understanding. And suddenly all those past moments come back and your mind connects everything. And it tells you very quietly, see, this is who you are. And I think that's the moment something shifts because now it's not just something others said, it becomes something you believe. I have seen this happen in my life. There are so many times I feel like I'm not fully present. I don't listen carefully. I assume things instead of asking questions. I try to understand things quickly but not deeply. And later I feel that gap, that discomfort, that feeling that I miss something again. And then comes the self talk, not loud, not a dramatic, but very consistent. Like, why am I like this? Why can't I just focus? And the more repeat these things, the more real they start to feel. At some time, I stopped questioning these thoughts. I just accept them. Like, this is how I am. And honestly, that's a very heavy place to be in. Because when you believe a label, you stop trying to go beyond it. You stop trying to give yourself a chance. You start living inside that limitation. But recently something small started changing, not a big realization, not a motivational moment, just a quiet question. What if like this is not my reality? What if it's just a pattern I have repeated for too long? And that question made me look at things differently, not in a way where I always blame myself, but in a way where I observe myself more. I started noticing my habits, like often I get distracted, how often uh, I don't pay attention, how quickly I assume things instead of asking. And I realized maybe the problem is not that I'm not capable. Maybe the problem is I'm not giving myself a chance. Because clarity needs space, understanding needs patience. I think I'm not giving both to myself. I also started accepting something important. I cannot know everything. I cannot understand everything immediately. And maybe feeling confused sometimes is not a failure. It's just part of learning. That's how you learn. But at the same time, there are things in my life that I don't want to stay unaware about. Like my job, my finances, insurance, decisions that affect my future, right? They're not small things. And avoiding them just because I feel unsure and then confused is something I don't want to continue. So now I'm not trying to prove that I'm smart. I am not trying to prove that I removed all labels overnight. I'm just trying to be more present, to listen properly, to pause when I don't understand, to ask more questions, even if it feels uncomfortable. Try not to rush, just appear confident and then clear. And honestly, this process is not easy at all, because every time I slow down, every time I admit I don't understand, that old voice still comes back. But this time, I'm not immediately believing it. I'm just noticing it and trying to continue it. Maybe that's what change looks like. Not a big transformation, not a complete shift, just small moments where you choose to be aware over assumption, presence over distraction, and then you try to be more focused and then more curious over and rather than judgmental. And maybe slowly the label starts losing their power. I don't know where this will lead. I don't know how long it will take. But for the first time, I feel like I'm not just accepting who I was or I was told. I'm starting to understand who I can become. If you if you have ever felt like this, like you are carrying words that don't fully belong to you, maybe you don't have to fight them. Maybe you can just start paying attention and see what changes from here. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next episode.